The story opens with the vast, open expanse of a sun-scorched ranch, where the wind whispers through dry grass and the mountains in the distance stand like silent guardians. The ranch itself is worn but sturdy, with weathered fences leaning slightly and barns with paint peeling from decades of neglect. Amid this rugged landscape lives the lonely rancher, a man whose presence seems as solid and unyielding as the land he tends. His name is not immediately revealed, as the story intends to immerse the reader in his quiet, solitary world before peeling back the layers of his past. The rancher is a figure shaped by both hardship and choice. He is broad-shouldered, calloused, and muscular from years of manual labor. Yet there is a softness in his posture that betrays a loneliness he hides from the outside world. His face is weathered, lined with experiences that seem to speak more in silence than words. Dark eyes, once perhaps bright with hope, now carry a shadow of regret and mistrust. The rancher lives deliberately apart from the nearby town, not out of disdain, but because of the pain of old betrayals and losses. Years ago, a family tragedy, whether the death of loved ones or a personal failure, left him wary of forming attachments. He tends to his animals and land with meticulous care, finding solace in routines that are predictable and safe, unlike the unpredictability of human connection. Daily life on the ranch is quiet but demanding. Sunrise finds him already moving through his chores, feeding the animals, repairing broken fences, and tending to the small vegetable patch that stubbornly refuses to yield in the harsh soil. Each task is done with precision, almost ritualistically, a reflection of a man trying to impose order on a world that has shown him little mercy. Despite his solitary existence, he is not entirely unfeeling. Occasionally, he pauses to watch a foal stumble or a calf nuzzle its mother, allowing himself a rare smile. These moments reveal that beneath the hardened exterior lies a man capable of care, though he rarely extends it to anyone beyond the ranch's boundaries. The narrative hints at the rancher's inner world through small, telling details: the worn photograph tucked into a drawer, the guitar collecting dust in the corner, the old journal filled with memories he revisits in private. These artifacts hint at a life once full of connection and dreams, now muted by the weight of solitude. There is also a sense of routine loneliness. The rancher is accustomed to the wind carrying away his conversations, the stars listening to his thoughts, and the animals serving as his only companions. He has grown comfortable in this isolation, believing that human connections bring more pain than comfort. Yet, the rancher's solitude is not just physical, it is emotional and psychological. He has built walls around his heart, carefully constructed to prevent anyone from seeing the depth of his vulnerability. He is wary of outsiders, suspicious of kindness, and quick to retreat into silence when confronted with unfamiliar emotions. This is a man who has loved and lost, who has suffered betrayal, and who now equates closeness with danger. The concludes with the rancher's quiet evening routine, sitting on the porch as the sun dips behind the mountains, sipping a lukewarm cup of coffee, listening to the wind rustle through the grass, and reflecting on the emptiness that surrounds him. It is in this moment in the stillness of his world that the story subtly foreshadows the arrival of a presence that will disrupt his carefully maintained solitude, solitude. Of his Mori subtly foreshadows the arrival of a presence that will disrupt his carefully maintained solitude, young girl whose determination and vulnerability will challenge everything he believes about trust, loyalty, and companionship. The peace of the rancher's secluded life is shattered one late afternoon by an unexpected presence, a young girl, no older than 12 or 13, stumbling along the dusty path that winds through the fields. She is a striking contrast to the wide, empty landscape, small, fragile, yet imbued with a kind of stubborn resilience that immediately catches the eye. Her dress is simple and worn, patched in places, suggesting a childhood marked by hardship rather than comfort. Her hair is tangled, her hands scratched from travel, and her face is streaked with dust and tears. There is an unmistakable urgency in her steps, as if the world itself is chasing her and she has nowhere else to turn. The rancher first notices her from the barn, leaning against the fence and wiping sweat from his brow. His instinct is caution. The rancher has learned to distrust strangers, especially those who suddenly appear on his land. He narrows his eyes, hand instinctively moving toward the old rifle leaning in the corner of the barn, though he does not raise it. Something in the girl's approach, the way she falters, then regains her footing. The desperate look in her eyes stirs a mix of wariness and curiosity in him. He has seen many people come and go, most seeking something, taking more than they give. This girl, however, seems different. When she finally reaches the ranch gate, she drops to her knees, hands clutching at the dry earth, gasping for breath. Her voice, soft but piercing in its urgency, breaks the silence. "Please, don't leave me here. I'll reward you." "I'll do whatever you ask." The rancher freezes. The words are jarring, bold, and somehow unsettling. They hint at both desperation and cunning, a plea for safety mixed with an unspoken promise that she is capable of giving loyalty in return for protection. Her gaze is steady, almost unnervingly mature for her age, yet tinged with fear. The rancher does not answer immediately. He watches her carefully, noting the small details, the way her shoulders tremble, the way her lips quiver, the way her hands twist the hem of her dress in anxiety. There is a raw honesty in her fear. She is clearly alone, and she has no one else to rely upon. Yet there is also a subtle sharpness, a sense that she knows how to survive and is willing to do whatever it takes. This duality unsettles him. He has always lived by clear rules and hard work, and the notion of taking in someone so unpredictable is foreign and dangerous. Still, something in her plea resonates. Perhaps it is a reflection of his own buried loneliness, a memory of lost innocence, or a chance to protect someone in a way he never could before. Slowly, almost reluctantly, he gestures for her to rise. The girl does so cautiously, almost afraid that the invitation is temporary or conditional. She steps forward, careful not to overstep any boundary, yet her eyes never leave his. The first moments between them are awkward, tense, and filled with unspoken questions. The rancher studies her for any hint of deceit or danger, while the girl gauges how far she can push, how much trust she can ask for without provoking rejection. In these silent moments, the story hints at the deepening dynamic to come, a relationship built on necessity, survival, and the gradual, painstaking building of trust. By the end of the day, the rancher has made a tentative decision. He will let her stay, at least for the night, though he makes it clear that the rules of the ranch must be respected. The girl accepts, her relief palpable, but her gratitude is tinged with a subtle determination. She intends to prove herself indispensable, to ensure she is not abandoned again. That night, as the sun sets behind the mountains and the wind whistles through the fences, both the rancher and the girl lie awake in their separate spaces, sensing that this chance encounter is the beginning of a bond that will challenge change and ultimately transform them both. The morning after the girl's arrival, the rancher awakes to the soft, persistent clatter of her attempts to help with chores. At first, he is irritated. The girl is clumsy and inexperienced, knocking over buckets and scattering feed as she tries to assist with the daily tasks of the ranch. Her eagerness, however, is unmistakable, and despite his initial impatience, the rancher begins to recognize a spark of determination in her. This is not a child willing to be a passive burden. She is a survivor, resilient and resourceful, desperate to earn her place. The rancher's acceptance of the girl is not immediate or easy. He sets boundaries, establishing rules that reflect the harshness of his life. Chores must be completed without complaint. Respect for the animals is paramount, and trust must be earned rather than given freely. The girl nods with earnest attention, her eyes wide but alert. She understands that promises alone are not enough. Action will be required to prove her worth. This interaction illustrates a critical aspect of their evolving relationship. The rancher's protective instinct conflicts with his fear of attachment, while the girl's persistence and cleverness challenge his self-imposed isolation. Despite his gruff demeanor, the rancher begins to observe subtle signs of the girl's ingenuity. She notices when a fence post is loose before it falls, finds a missing tool he thought lost, and adapts quickly to the rhythm of the ranch. These small accomplishments, though mundane, intrigue him. He begins to see her not merely as a child in need, but as a companion capable of contribution, someone who could alleviate the oppressive solitude of his existence. Yet, his past experiences make him cautious. He remembers those who once betrayed him, those who left when they were no longer useful. In this light, his cautious approach is a defense mechanism protecting both himself and the girl from potential disappointment. As days pass, the girl's unrelenting optimism begins to erode the rancher's hardened exterior. Her laughter, rare, spontaneous, and unguarded, breaks the monotony of the ranch's routine and touches something deep within him. She asks questions about the land, the animals, and the stars in the night sky, demonstrating curiosity and a desire to understand the world around her. The rancher, initially reluctant to engage in conversation, finds himself offering small explanations, telling stories of the ranch and its history. These exchanges, seemingly ordinary, mark the beginnings of trust between them, each word an unspoken acknowledgement of the other's presence in their lives. Yet, the tension between acceptance and caution remains. The rancher is vigilant, carefully noting every word and action of the girl. Her promise to do whatever you ask lingers in his mind, not as a threat, but as a responsibility. He understands that her survival has been tied to obedience and adaptability, and he feels the weight of guiding her without imposing undue control. This balance of authority and compassion defines the early stages of their relationship, a delicate dance where power, trust, and care must coexist. By the end of the first week, a fragile rhythm forms. The girl wakes early, completes chores diligently, and offers help without being asked. The rancher, in turn, begins to allow small indulgences, letting her tend to the garden, giving her permission to feed the animals, and even sharing modest meals at his side. These moments, simple yet profound, signal the rancher's gradual softening and the tentative formation of a bond. He is still guarded, but the walls around his heart are beginning to show cracks. Part 3 concludes with a quiet evening on the porch. The rancher sits in his usual chair, watching the girl tend to the chickens, and feels a mix of apprehension and hope. She is still an enigma, and her presence challenges the isolation he once valued. Yet, in her determination and resilience, he glimpses the possibility of connection, of a life less lonely, and perhaps a chance to rediscover trust, loyalty, and the quiet joy of companionship. With the girl now living on the ranch, the slow and delicate process of building trust begins. The rancher is still cautious, observing her every action, silently measuring her intentions and her capabilities. Yet, over time, he notices that she is not only eager to follow his rules, but also willing to take initiative, sometimes anticipating needs before he voices them. This proactive behavior is unlike anything he has seen in others who have crossed his path. It hints at both intelligence and genuine determination. Their days are filled with routine tasks, feeding the livestock, repairing fences, tending the small garden, and maintaining the barns. These chores are grueling, especially under the scorching sun or in the bitter chill of the night, but the girl approaches each task with persistence. When she falters, she admits her mistakes rather than hiding them, earning the rancher's grudging respect. For him, trust is built on observation and consistency, not words alone, and her reliability begins to chip away at the walls he has so carefully constructed around himself. Small, quiet moments also play a critical role in strengthening their bond. The rancher, though reserved, starts sharing fragments of his knowledge, how to mend a fence post, identify signs of illness in cattle, or find hidden water sources during drought. He does this with a mixture of authority and subtle warmth, teaching her skills that will not only make her useful on the ranch but also ensure her survival. The girl, in turn, absorbs these lessons eagerly, demonstrating curiosity and initiative, asking questions, and even offering solutions to problems she observes. These exchanges gradually transform their relationship from one of mere survival to mutual respect. Trust is tested in unexpected ways. One day, a frightened foal becomes trapped in a fence. The rancher is occupied with another task, and the girl steps in without hesitation, carefully freeing the animal and calming it with a gentle touch. Her calmness and skill impress him, and for the first time, he allows himself to feel a spark of admiration for her courage. He realizes that her presence is not just a responsibility, but a contribution that strengthens the ranch, making the once solitary life more bearable. Yet, trust is not linear. The rancher remains vigilant, aware that the girl's background is largely unknown. He senses that her past has forced her to survive by cunning and adaptability, and while these traits serve her well, they also make him cautious. Occasional moments of doubt flare up when she acts independently or questions his decisions. But each time, these moments are followed by reassurance through her consistent actions, her loyalty to the tasks assigned, and the small gestures that show she genuinely cares about him and the ranch. Their evenings become a subtle ritual of connection. After chores, they sit together on the porch, sharing simple meals or quietly observing the sun dip behind the mountains. Words are few, but the silences are filled with understanding. The rancher begins to notice the small signs of her humanity, her laughter at the antics of a calf, the care she shows in feeding the chickens, and her fascination with the stars above. These observations slowly soften his guarded heart, revealing that trust is not built overnight but through countless small actions that prove reliability and intention. By the end of this phase, a fragile yet undeniable bond has formed. The rancher starts to see the girl as more than someone who needs protection. She is now a companion, someone whose presence brings a sense of purpose and quiet joy. The girl, meanwhile, begins to understand the limits of his stoicism and learns to respect his space while still asserting her role in his life. They are no longer merely two individuals occupying the same space, they are learning the intricate dance of trust, patience, and mutual dependence, laying the foundation for the deeper connection that will define the story. As the days turn into weeks, the bond between the rancher and the girl grows stronger. Yet subtle signs begin to hint that she harbors secrets from her past. While she is diligent and trustworthy on the ranch, moments of hesitation, sudden anxiety, or evasive answers to casual questions suggest that her history is complicated and possibly dangerous. These glimpses of hidden depth intrigue the rancher, stirring a mix of concern, curiosity, and cautious suspicion. The girl is careful not to reveal too much. When asked where she came from or what happened to her family, she diverts the conversation or offers vague responses. Her eyes, however, sometimes betray her fear, flickering with memories she cannot fully suppress. She has learned through hard experience that survival often depends on keeping certain truths hidden. Yet, despite her reluctance, her loyalty to the rancher is unwavering. Her promise to do whatever you ask is more than words. It is a guiding principle she adheres to, even when the weight of her past threatens to surface. The rancher, though wary, is observant. He notices small inconsistencies in her stories and glimpses of skills or knowledge she could not have learned on the ranch. She can read subtle weather changes, track animals with an intuition beyond her years, and occasionally demonstrates a shrewdness in handling strangers that surprises him. These abilities hint at a life shaped by hardship and necessity, not innocence. While he admires her resourcefulness, he is also acutely aware that it could signal danger both from external threats and from the emotional complexity of a child who has learned to protect herself by any means necessary. One evening, an incident makes the rancher realize the depth of her past. A wandering stranger appears near the ranch, asking questions about the girl in a way that suggests knowledge of her previous life. The girl freezes, her face pale, and she subtly signals the rancher to keep quiet. In that moment, he understands that she has survived encounters that required cunning, courage, and discretion skills she now applies to protect both herself and him. The incident leaves the rancher uneasy but also more determined to safeguard her. Recognizing that her secrets are not merely personal, they may attract danger if exposed. Despite these hidden aspects, their mutual trust continues to grow. The rancher begins to respect her instincts and judgment, understanding that her past, while mysterious, has equipped her with resilience and intelligence. She is learning to navigate his world while he learns to navigate hers, carefully balancing honesty and discretion. Each shared experience, the tending of animals, the repair of fences, and the quiet evenings on the porch serves to bridge the gap between their isolated lives and her shadowed past. The girl's secret also serves as a source of tension and anticipation within the story. Readers sense that there is more to her history than simple abandonment or hardship, hinting at events that could dramatically alter their lives if revealed. The rancher, while protective, is increasingly aware that trust is fragile, and that understanding the girl fully may require patience, empathy, and courage. By the end, though, the rancher accepts that her past will always be a part of her, even if he does not yet know the details. He begins to view their relationship as a careful partnership. He provides stability and safety, while she brings adaptability, resilience, and a quiet determination that challenges his guarded nature. The stage is set for external threats and internal revelations, where both the girl and the rancher must confront fears, uncertainties, and secrets that could either strengthen or shatter their fragile bond. Life on the ranch has settled into a fragile rhythm, but that calm is suddenly shattered when the outside world intrudes, reminding the rancher that isolation offers no complete protection. One afternoon, a group of townsfolk, or perhaps strangers with unclear intentions, arrives near the property, asking pointed questions about the girl. Their tone is casual but probing, their eyes sharp, suggesting that they are searching for someone who does not want to be found. The rancher senses danger immediately. He recognizes the look of people who believe they have the right to take what they seek, and his protective instincts flare. The girl reacts instinctively. She freezes at first, her body tense, her eyes darting between the strangers and the rancher. Then, almost imperceptibly, she moves closer to him, signaling trust and reliance. It becomes clear that she knows more about these outsiders than she initially revealed. Though she does not speak, her body language conveys a warning. These people may pose real harm. The rancher, interpreting her cues, steps forward, asserting his authority and making it clear that anyone approaching the ranch without permission will face consequences. Tension escalates when one of the strangers attempts to cross the fence, questioning the girl directly about her past. The rancher, a man not given to confrontation lightly, feels a surge of anger and fear. He is prepared to defend the ranch, the girl, and his own solitude at all costs. Yet he realizes that physical confrontation is only part of the solution. Strategy and careful observation are equally crucial. He instructs the girl to remain calm and stay within the house, trusting her judgment while maintaining control of the situation. The girl, despite her youth, surprises him. She quietly moves to the barn, creating diversions that subtly protect both herself and the rancher. Her knowledge of the land, the hidden paths, the natural obstacles, and the best vantage points demonstrates not only her resourcefulness but also the practical survival skills she has learned from a life lived on the edge. She anticipates the stranger's actions, making small but critical moves that give the rancher an advantage. For the first time, he sees the depth of her abilities and realizes that her loyalty is not passive. She is actively contributing to their shared survival. This encounter also deepens the emotional bond between them. The rancher begins to see her not as a child to be shielded, but as a partner whose courage and quick thinking can complement his own strength and experience. Meanwhile, the girl's trust in the rancher grows as she witnesses his protective instincts in action, not reckless aggression, but calculated defense and steadfast commitment to her safety. Their mutual reliance in this tense scenario reinforces the unspoken understanding that they are stronger together than apart. By the end of the confrontation, the strangers retreat, perhaps deterred by the rancher's presence, the girl's cleverness, or the unspoken warning that they are facing more than simple isolation. In the aftermath, the rancher and the girl share a quiet moment of relief and reflection. The event is a turning point. It demonstrates that the outside world is unpredictable and often threatening, and that their bond built on trust, respect, and complementary skills is essential for survival. It concludes with the rancher recognizing that protecting the girl is no longer just a moral choice. It has become a necessity for both their sakes. The girl, too, understands that she is no longer alone, that she has someone who will stand by her and rely on her in turn. This external threat solidifies their partnership and sets the stage for deeper challenges, both from the outside world and from the emotional complexities of their growing relationship. After the tense encounter with the strangers, life on the ranch slowly returns to its quiet rhythm, but something fundamental has shifted within the rancher. The protective barrier he had built around himself, carefully constructed over years of solitude and heartbreak, is beginning to crack. He realizes that the girl is no longer just a responsibility or a test of his patience. She is becoming someone he genuinely cares for. The realization is subtle at first, felt in moments he barely allows himself to notice. When he finds himself glancing at her with concern, when her laughter unexpectedly lifts his mood, or when he senses a pang of worry in her absence, however brief. The rancher's softening is not sudden or dramatic. It manifests in small, almost imperceptible ways. He allows the girl more autonomy around the ranch, trusting her judgment in matters he would have previously handled alone. He shares meals with her rather than eating in solitude. Sometimes he lingers a little longer on the porch after chores are done, listening to her chatter about the animals, the land, or even her fleeting curiosities about the wider world. These seemingly minor actions signal a growing emotional openness, a willingness to let someone into a life that had been rigidly self-contained. The girl notices the change as well. She responds to it with quiet enthusiasm, respecting his boundaries while subtly encouraging his participation in her small, imaginative world. She shows him the beauty in ordinary moments, the way sunlight glints off the barn roof at dawn, how the wind bends the tall grass in rhythmic waves, or how a stubborn calf can be guided with patience rather than force. Her observations, tender yet perceptive, teach the rancher to see his surroundings and his life with a renewed sense of appreciation. This period of softening also brings emotional intimacy. The rancher begins sharing fragments of his past with her, not the darkest memories, but stories of people he once loved, mistakes he regrets, and lessons he has learned through hardship. He is careful not to reveal too much too soon, but the act of opening up, even in small doses, is a significant departure from his usual guardedness. The girl listens intently, sometimes offering her own thoughts, other times simply absorbing his words. These exchanges deepen the mutual trust between them and create an unspoken bond that transcends the ordinary dynamics of protector and ward. The rancher's softening is tested in quiet, personal ways. Perhaps he catches himself worrying when she wanders near the edge of the property, or when she takes on a challenging chore alone. Or he notices a fleeting smile at a shared joke or a tender gesture, such as the girl feeding the animals carefully so that none go hungry. These moments stir unfamiliar emotions, affection, pride, even a tentative sense of hope that he had long convinced himself were dangerous or unnecessary. Through this gradual emotional shift, the rancher starts to imagine a future that includes the girl not as a temporary presence, but as a permanent companion. He begins to understand that her loyalty and perseverance have unlocked something within him, a capacity to connect, to care, and to find meaning beyond solitude. The fear that closeness will lead to pain is still present, but it is tempered by the realization that isolation has also been a kind of emotional death. It concludes with a quiet evening on the porch, the rancher watching the girl tend to the chickens as the sun sets. There is a sense of calm and contentment, a recognition that life has grown richer and more layered. The rancher's heart, long encased in solitude, has begun to thaw. The girl's presence is no longer merely tolerated, it is cherished. This emotional softening sets the stage for future challenges, where trust, loyalty, and love will be tested against both external dangers and the lingering shadows of their pasts. The bond between the rancher and the girl has grown stronger, built on trust, shared labor, and mutual respect, yet the true test of their connection is about to arrive. One day, a crisis occurs, perhaps a sudden storm, an injury to one of the animals, or the return of someone from her past threatening her safety. This event forces the girl to confront her own fear and fully act on her long-standing promise. I'll do whatever you ask. When the threat arises, the rancher initially prepares to take charge as he always has. His instincts, honed over years of solitude and survival, push him toward action. However, he quickly realizes that this time he cannot solve the problem alone. The girl's knowledge, skills, and courage are needed, and he must trust her completely. This moment represents a turning point. She is no longer just a child under his protection, but a capable partner whose abilities are essential to overcoming the challenge. The girl steps forward with determination. Perhaps she scales a fence to save a trapped animal, confronts the external threat with intelligence and tact, or navigates treacherous terrain to bring help. Every action she takes demonstrates courage, quick thinking, and a sense of responsibility far beyond her years. Her dedication to keeping the rancher and their shared home safe embodies the promise she has repeated for so long, transforming her words into tangible deeds. During this trial, the rancher observes her closely, his respect and admiration deepening. He notes her ingenuity, her ability to stay calm under pressure, and her unwavering loyalty. These traits reassure him that his decision to accept her into his life was not a mistake, and that their bond is now reinforced by shared experience and mutual reliance. For the girl, this moment is also transformative. She proves to herself and to the rancher that she is not powerless or dependent, that her survival and the well-being of those she cares for are within her control. The crisis also serves as an emotional catalyst. In the heat of the challenge, the rancher allows himself to display vulnerability, whether it is worry for her safety or relief when her actions succeed. Likewise, the girl witnesses his humanity, his strength tempered by care, his decisiveness coupled with concern. This reciprocal acknowledgement strengthens the foundation of trust and emotional intimacy between them, deepening their connection beyond mere necessity. By the time the danger passes, both have been changed. The rancher's faith in the girl is solidified. He sees her as a partner capable and dependable. The girl, in turn, recognizes the rancher as someone who trusts her completely, someone who relies on her not out of obligation, but out of genuine confidence in her abilities. The ordeal demonstrates that their relationship is no longer a simple dynamic of protector and ward, but a partnership built on shared challenges, courage, and loyalty. The resolution of this event leaves a lasting impression on both. The rancher reflects on how much he has come to rely on her presence, not just for assistance but for emotional support and companionship. The girl feels pride and belonging, understanding that her perseverance and dedication have earned her a permanent place in this rugged, isolated world. It concludes with the quiet aftermath. The rancher and the girl sit together, perhaps cleaning up after the crisis or tending to the animals that were affected. There is a shared sense of accomplishment, relief, and recognition that the promise she made long ago is no longer abstract, it is lived, tangible, and binding. Their bond, tested in fire, emerges stronger, setting the stage for the next step, confronting the deeper wounds of their pasts and truly opening their hearts to one another. With trust firmly established and their bond strengthened through shared challenges, the rancher and the girl face the inevitable reckoning of their pasts. Up until now, both have maintained a careful balance. The rancher has guarded his heart, and the girl has concealed the shadows of her previous life. Yet the events of the ranch, combined with the dangers they have overcome together, make it impossible to avoid the truths that have shaped them. The girl begins to reveal fragments of her history. Perhaps she tells of a family lost to circumstance or cruelty, of hardships that forced her into survival mode at a young age. She speaks of moments that shaped her loneliness, fear, and the necessity of relying on her wits to endure. These revelations, shared cautiously and only when she feels safe, are moments of vulnerability that carry immense weight. For the rancher, they are both alarming and illuminating. He recognizes the resilience in her survival skills, but also feels the pain she has endured alone. Her story is a mirror of sorts, reflecting the struggles he has kept buried for decades. The rancher, in turn, begins to share his own past, the losses and regrets that have led him to isolate himself. He speaks of family, friends, or a love lost, of choices made and consequences endured, the details often spoken with hesitation and a quiet intensity. The girl listens with empathy, her presence providing a non-judgmental space in which he can express emotions he has long suppressed. This mutual exchange of vulnerability fosters a deep emotional connection, bridging the gap between their solitary lives and creating a profound sense of understanding. Confronting their pasts also surfaces fear and tension. The rancher worries that revealing his vulnerabilities will weaken him or make him appear incapable of protecting her. The girl fears that her history might invite danger or rejection. These anxieties create moments of strain, where trust is tested once again, but each time they choose to act on their bond, reaffirming loyalty and commitment. They learn that acknowledging their wounds does not diminish them. Rather, it strengthens their capacity for connection and resilience. In facing their pasts, they also find lessons in forgiveness and acceptance. The rancher begins to forgive himself for past mistakes and to accept that his life, while lonely, has led him to this unexpected companionship. The girl learns to release some of the fear and mistrust that have governed her survival, understanding that she is not alone and that loyalty and love can exist without exploitation. These revelations deepen their emotional intimacy, creating a foundation for a relationship built not just on necessity but on trust, care, and understanding. The climax of this part might include a symbolic act, a shared ritual, the repairing of a broken fence together, or the acknowledgement of a promise kept that signifies their mutual acceptance of each other's histories. By confronting the past, both characters emerge stronger, with a newfound clarity about their present and future. It concludes with a quiet, reflective moment. The rancher and the girl sitting together as the sun sets, their silence is comfortable, their presence a reassurance to one another. The weight of past pain has not vanished, but it has been shared, acknowledged, and transformed into a bond that can withstand future trials. This sets the stage for the resolution, A hopeful, resilient future built on love, trust, and the profound connection they have cultivated through hardship, courage, and unwavering loyalty. The story reaches its emotional culmination as the rancher and the girl step into a future that promises stability, trust, and a sense of family that neither had known before. The trials they faced, loneliness, danger, and the shadows of their pasts have forged a bond that is resilient, rooted in shared experiences, loyalty, and love. Their relationship is no longer defined by survival alone. It has transformed into mutual respect, understanding, and emotional intimacy. The day begins with the familiar rhythm of ranch life, yet there is a sense of ease and harmony that was previously absent. The rancher moved through his chores with confidence, aware that the girl's skills and presence lighten his burdens. She moves alongside him, now not only a helper but a partner whose judgment he trusts implicitly. Their interactions are marked by subtle cues of affection, shared glances, gentle corrections, and small gestures of care that reflect the deep emotional connection that has blossomed over time. The girl, too, has grown. She carries herself with a newfound sense of security and pride, knowing she is valued not just for her utility but for who she is. The fear that once defined her existence has been replaced by confidence rooted in trust and belonging. She smiles more freely, laughs with abandon, and even allows herself moments of vulnerability with the rancher, knowing he will respond with patience and understanding. Her promise to do whatever you ask has evolved into a genuine partnership where loyalty and love are intertwined rather than coerced. External threats that once loomed over them have diminished, either driven away by their combined resilience or neutralized through cleverness and strategy. Yet the sense of safety is no longer fragile. It is earned through mutual trust and the lessons learned from past hardships. The rancher no longer views isolation as protection but as a choice, balanced by the companionship and emotional richness the girl brings into his life. He has learned that connection, though risky, enriches existence in ways solitude cannot. The resolution is also emotional. Both characters take time to reflect on their journeys, the girl's survival against abandonment and danger, and the rancher as transformation from a man hardened by loss to one capable of care and love. They recognize that their shared struggles have not only brought them together, but have reshaped them as individuals, giving them strength, courage, and hope. This reflection deepens their appreciation for each other and solidifies their emotional bond. Symbolically, the ranch itself mirrors their growth. The fences they repair together, the animals they nurture, and the land they tend represent stability, security, and the life they are building as a unit. It is a home forged not just by labor but by trust, loyalty, and love, a place where both can flourish. Their daily routines, once monotonous and solitary, are now enriched by companionship and shared purpose. It concludes with a quiet, hopeful scene. Perhaps they sit together on the porch at sunset, the mountains glowing in the fading light, sharing a moment of silent contentment. The rancher's heart, once closed off, has opened fully. The girl's spirit, once fearful and tentative, now thrives. They face the future together, resilient and united, embodying the story's central theme. That trust, loyalty, and love can emerge even in the harshest circumstances, and that a chosen family formed through courage, perseverance, and understanding can heal old wounds and create a life filled with hope. The story closes on this sense of promise. The rancher and the girl, no longer defined by loneliness or fear, look forward to a life of shared purpose and enduring companionship. Their journey, marked by hardship, trust, and growth, finds its resolution in the simple yet profound affirmation of human connection, the heart of the tale.